I'm Graham Elwood, and welcome to another edition of the Church of Batman. Some of you emailed me and asked me, why am I calling it the Church of Batman? Well, Batman was is the world's greatest detective, and he's all about what's right and truth and justice, doesn't use guns, and saw his parents murdered, so he has PTSD, and it made him a little crazy. Today, I want to go over an article that was in the January 1st edition of the Los Angeles Times. It's called Soldier for the Climate Change Cause, and it's about this scientist, Ben Santer. So Ben Santer works at the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, which is a federally funded laboratory just east of San Francisco. He is someone who went to Madrid in 1995 to help write the second report from the International Panel on Climate Change, in which he said the balance of evidence suggested discernible human influence on global climate. He's one of the first people to say this 20 years ago. And in the article he said, that sentence changed my life. He went on to become a MacArthur Fellow and a member of the National Academy of Sciences. And once that happened too, he then became a target of the oil industry, who have attacked his research. So the goal, as I talked about in an earlier video, the goal of the carbon industry, or fossil fuels, whatever you want to call them, is they want to create an appearance that there's still a scientific debate about climate change. We're just not quite sure, because if the minute we move away from debate to solution, well, then this obvious solution is going to be we have to get rid of fossil fuels. We have to stop using them. So that's where, again, why everybody has come out. So what he has come out to say since the Trump election is, he wrote in a letter, this is not the time for despair, who, as it says here, is as meticulous with his words as his colleagues say he is with his research. It's time for leaving the sidelines and entering the public arena. This is a bold statement, because a lot of climate research scientists, some of them are scared about speaking out because this new administration can cut their funding. So that's what, and Trump has stacked his cabinet with climate change deniers. Like our good friend who's now going to head the Department of Energy, former Texas Governor Rick Perry. So he's going to oversee, the Department of Energy oversees national laboratories like the one where Santer works. And Governor Perry once suggested abolishing this department altogether. So he's going to be in charge of a department that he thinks we should abolish. He's also described climate science as a, quote, contrived, phony mess. Wow. So the governor from an oil state doesn't like anything about climate change, and he is now the head of a department, or is going to be the head of a department that he wants to close down, that oversees national funding. Whew, great. Gives you a lot of confidence. But why this article is intriguing, and I'll read more about the fact that he is saying we in the science community, because the science community, and it says here in this article, they're done with debating climate. The climate science, they're in the science community, they've already there's climate change, it's happening, and we need to do something about it. So how is he going to do something about it? This is going to be intriguing. So I'll read another quote. Scientists have viewed other actions by the Trump transition team with alarm, such as a request for the names of department employees who have worked on climate issues. So they're just going to go through and start firing everybody? Well, that's cool. And it says here they could do a lot of damage in a short amount of time. So right now, and this is again from the article, in the current administration, there is support for climate science and respect for its findings, said Michael Mann, a professor of atmospheric science at Penn State University. I fear both will simultaneously evaporate in an anti-science presidential administration. So a scientist is saying this. which is caused. There's also and national laboratories where Santer works could prove to be a flashpoint in the brewing tug of war between California and Trump. Although Livermore is better known for its nuclear weapons research, Trump might want to keep them around since he's already come out and say, yeah, we need more nukes. Nukes for the Russians that have uranium that they bought through the Clinton Foundation. There are also 50 researchers, computer scientists, and software engineers focused on climate change, with $18 million in federal funding backing them. So the article goes on, they're concerned that they could be blacklisted, said Representative Eric Swalwell, a Democrat from Dublin, which is in the Bay Area, whose district includes Livermore Laboratories. Swalwell wrote a letter with 26 congressional colleagues pledging to protect scientists and national laboratories, perhaps with legal action. And because the laboratory is in partnership with the University of California, so now Governor Jerry Brown has promised to protect its work. Because Jerry Brown is president of the Board of Regents of the whole UC system. So, and this is a quote from Brown, "I'm going to say, keep your hands off. That laboratory is going to pursue good science," Brown said in a December 14th speech at a science conference in San Francisco. Sounds like a bunch of liberal nerds, huh? Bunch of libtard scientists. And if Trump turns off the satellites, California will launch its own damn satellites, he added. We're going to collect that data. God, I love Jerry Brown. Oh, he could have been our president in 1992, but the Clintons muscled him out. Here's the thing. Getting back to the campaigns and why this is... why I want to talk about this is because we don't know who Santer... I didn't know who Santer was until this article. So he's not going to retreat. He's decided to speak out, and he just wrote a paper, tailored a research paper to combat attempts by Senator Ted Cruz, a Republican from another one from the great state of Texas, to cast doubt on whether the planet was significantly warming. But here's the thing: why it's so tough for him. So he can write all these papers with as much science and research as he wants, and then Ted Cruz can go on Seth Meyers in March of 2015, and Seth Meyers can go, I don't know, let's listen to both sides of the issue. Thanks, Seth. And this is the problem with the mainstream media, is the mainstream media hasn't started the battle cry with this. The mainstream media, it's corporate media. It's not liberal, or it's corporate. So watch who's buying ad time when you watch your local news or CNN or Fox or MSNBC. As Santer said, I would love to have set the record straight on Late Night with Seth Meyers. So here's his point, and this is as we wrap up here. So I want to always try to figure out, like, what can we do? What can all of us sort of average citizens do? As I've said before, vote with your dollars. You might be like, well, I don't have the money to buy a $30,000, $40,000 electric car. I get that. Neither do I. I'd like to get one. I can't. Right now my car is a 98 and it's got 245,000 miles on it. But I try to take public transportation. I try to use oil less and less. And also to get the word out. I'm going to leave, this is the end of the article here. Why do you think Make America Great Again worked? Santer said. My theory is the repetition. A simple message repeated again and again and again. So there's an important lesson here for how climate scientists, somehow we've got to find an equally effective way of communicating the message again and again and again. And that's one of the things I'm going to try to do on this show, and I want you to do the same. When I come in contact with someone who tries to deny climate change, I just say, no, there's just 97% of all scientists from every country on the planet say it's happening. Whoever's arguing with you, ask them, whatever field they're in, if they had 100 experts standing in front of them and 97 of them all agreed and the other 3 that didn't were funded by some organization that was against, that was going to stand to lose money, see how they would respond to that. And if they're still just like, Trump, no climate change, then stop talking to them and try to find some reasonable people that'll listen. Because this is our single greatest issue and concern. And if we can't let the Trump administration just get rid of all of this stuff. we can't let that happen. So thanks for taking the time to watch this. Press the like button and share this video if you really dug it. So my name is Graham Elwood, and thank you for watching The Church of Batman.